because it's just like going to Google or any other website you go to. You have to click the yellow button in order to connect to your database. And then what you're going to do is just put in your username and password that you currently have in the Doc Assist product. You don't have to do this second layer here. This is just for my team. But when you log in, there's basically one of two things you're going to do. I'm either going to go and register a client, and if I register a client, as you know in your current system, that's Medix Premier. And in Medix Premier, there's basically an A, a D, an S, and a P button, which is demographics, scheduling, payment posting, account inquiry. That's the registration and practice management part. In the new system, it's the same logic, same terminology, basically same buttons. The registration to enter a new client is up at the top right. Okay, so this is Medix Premier, the registration system. That's the first thing you could do. Go into demographics. If I need to work on clients that are already here, I would open up my left-hand navigation bar because now I want to do work with them in the EMR. Okay, so the basic two functions are left-hand navigation bar is your Doc Assist version 7. The right top of the screen here is Medix Premier. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to take you through the process, but I did this a little bit yesterday. Because I kind of jumped around, I haven't gone through the navigation bar, and generally in the last training session, I go through the last navigation bar. So I'm just going to go through this quickly and just tell you what they are. I'm not going to go into them right now. Then I'm going to create a patient and go through the whole workflow, and I'll come back and you'll see how each one of these are used. But just so you understand, first and foremost, what are my options and what do all these do? So you don't use all of these, but My Documents is if you wanted to upload and scan a PDF, something related to a client to attach it to their chart. That's My Documents. I want to attach something to a client. My Encounters would be, let's say I completed 24 group notes and 50 individual progress notes, but I don't know if I signed them all. My Encounters is all the encounters that you've done, and you can decide, I just want to see everything I did this week, this month, this year. So you can sort in here and find all the work that you've done, okay, either signed or unsigned. And you can bulk sign and things in here. Patient search and patient programs are primarily the same thing. Patient search allows you to look for any client that's at some point been registered in the demographics in Medix Premier. You can find them in patient search, even if we just did demographics and we never attached them to a program. They never came in, we never scheduled an appointment, but we did register, we did put their demographics into the system. Anybody in the universe, whether they've been just demographics, whether they've been here for a year and a half and they discharged currently, they're not here, anybody who you've ever put into the system, you can find in patient search. Patient programs is everybody who's active. So if you come in the morning and you know you have to do 6 individual group, progress notes, you can just go to patient programs because these are all active clients. You can find your client, go into their chart, do their note. So if you're doing anything related to a client that's currently here, I always recommend use our patient programs because it's kind of like a central hub where all your active clients are, and that's where you go to do work, okay? And I'm going to show this to you. I just want you to understand what's over here. Group therapy is group therapy. That's the group therapy module. Anytime you want to do a group note, you're going to jump into the group therapy module. Underneath that is if you want to dispense meds to a client. Dispensing is the medication dispensing board, or what oftentimes clients call a MARS, a medication administration system. And then the bed board, if you want to put a patient in a bed, if you want to go see where the patient is and what bed they're in, you do it from your bed board. The bed board's the same as the one you have now, so there's no difference in that. But those are the common things when you come into the system. I'm either going to scan a document, I want to look at the work I did yesterday, I want to find a patient and see what they're up to. or someone to see if we've ever admitted them into a program. Patient programs is everyone who's currently here. I want to go do work on a client, or I want to look at their chart. Patient programs, only current clients. Group therapy, do a group note. Dispensing, dispense a med. And bed manager, let's go find or put someone in a bed. General functions. Do you have any questions about that, or are you okay so far? I'm going to show you how to use them all, but I just want you to make sure you're comfortable with your home screen. Do you have any questions about that?
No, not at all.
Okay, so I'm just going to take you through the experience, and I'm going to actually do a new client. I'm going to go over and use all those buttons so you just see how to use it. Once you know how to use the left-hand side, the application is pretty simple. But when you first get the system and you log in the first time, what I try to tell people, the most important thing you can do is remember what the options are on this screen so you don't get panicked, you don't remember which button to click, you end up jumping around everywhere. Don't do that. Just remember, if you want to go to Medix Premier, click your D tab at the top to enter a new demographic or find an existing client in Medix Premier. And if you want to do clinical work, it's going to be something on the left-hand side. Okay, so we'll start there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in demographics, and I'm just going to put a new client in. So I'm going to use my last name, Tracy, your first name, and we'll just go through and say your birthday is 1990. All the blue fields must be filled out, obviously. Sex is female. 1, 2, 3, red drive. We'll just pick a city, state, and zip. We'll pick a language. We'll pick a race. We'll pick an ethnicity. We'll pick an AR type. Blue Cross. We'll pick a status, and I think you guys do intake completed as the first status. And then we'll say the place doesn't really matter. I'm just going to click anything. Okay, and then I have to put a diagnosis code in. So I'm just going to type a diagnosis code, part of it, hit search, put in my diagnosis code. And once you've met all the criteria, okay, and there's no blue fields left, you'll see a red save button. The big difference in demographics between your current version and the cloud version is the cloud version has the save at the top. Your current version has the save at the bottom. So the biggest change, it's a little thing, but I know it throws people off. The save's at the top in the cloud. So I'm going to go ahead and save the demographics. And now it's going to say, great, we have a new demographic. Once I hit the save button, it opens up my pre-screenings. I don't know if you're using these for your role specifically, but I'm just going to show you the whole workflow. If I want to do a TB screen, I'll double click on the TB screen. I can type away. All your forms that you have in your current Premier are still here. They work the exact same way. We copied everything over, and it'll save any of these pre-assessments or phone screens that you do. If I want to put in an insurance, the insurance, just like your current version of Medix Premier, the insurance is right below the patient info. You click green to add a new insurance. We'll go to your pick list, and I think I said Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, so I'll stick with that. I'll put a policy, I'll put a group, and I'll hit save. Now, the one question that came up yesterday was, how do I check eligibility, or how do I print a receipt? Where do those happen in this version? One new thing, this little icon, it's the same icon as you have in Medix Premier, but it's in a little bit different spot. So if you click these 3 little links up here, this is where your extra little buttons are that are in your drop-down of Medix Premier. So the eligibility, check eligibility, set a patient reminder, collect a copay. Any of those things in version 7, they all sit in this ancillary button. So this client will fail the eligibility check because it's just a test client. But I'm just going to click on eligibility. It still launches the eligibility check the same way. All the screens are the same. The way you get the responses are the same. This doesn't change. The only key is how do I get this screen to open? And that actually happens on the little new ancillary demographic options button on the right-hand side. Okay. If I wanted to put an authorization in, it's kind of the same workflow. Your notes tabs are the same. We pulled over your county and all that stuff that you had built in your current version. Miscellaneous is your authorization. So same thing. The new thing in cloud is you just have to highlight to get the little insurance file to pop up. I'll pick the insurance that I placed in. I'll put the authorization number. I'll put the start date. All these fields in these screens, we didn't change them. They're exactly the same as what you have in your current version. Okay, and we'll say it's a 30-day, or I'll just say it's 14, and we got 9 days from Blue Cross of Michigan for this patient. So I'm going to hit save. So now the alerts still work the same. So the referrals and authorization reminders work the same. You might not do all those functions, but that's a full registration into the system with an eligibility check and doing a pre-screen. Do you have any questions about that?
No, I don't. I know, like, as a recovery navigator, we don't usually do anything with the insurance unless they're planning on having us learn how to do that. I don't know.
Yep. I'm just showing you that one because when we go into the EMR, I'm going to explain to you the patient timeline. And I just want you to remember this stuff. So when I show you the new patient timeline feature, you're going to know where all this stuff came from because you are going to see it in a view that you don't currently have in version 7. So I just wanted to show you all these fields so you know how you're getting the data. Okay? Okay. So once you have a new client in the system, Tracy Woods, okay, when you open up your left-hand navigation bar, if you remember, I said patient search is everybody in the universe, even if you just put in demographics. So we'll find Tracy in the EMR under patient search because anybody you put in on the EMR side, you can find that patient, even if you only just put them into Medix Premier. But I'm not going to find them in one of the most common things you're going to use called patient programs. I won't find her in patient programs because I didn't attach a program to her yet. So she's not active as a client, so she won't be here yet. Just remember that when I come back to it in a minute or two, okay? So once the patient demographics are in, now I'm going to assume, let's say somebody else did that on your team, an intake person, somebody else registered the client, you log in the morning, and you got to find Tracy. Well, where is Tracy? So if you go to patient programs, and I search for Tracy Woods, comma, T, she's not going to be in here. The only current client I have is a client in residential with the name Thursday Woods. The reason Tracy's not here and there's no green button with her name on it is because she's not an active client. We haven't done anything. All we did is register her. We don't know if she's ever going to come in or not. But if I go to patient search, okay, I'm going to always open up my left-hand navigation bar. If I go to patient search, and I say, let's go find Tracy Woods. So we'll do a T and an R. Okay, and then let's look for that. So Tracy Woods is here. She's in the system. If you click her name, it'll show you in the timeline on the right-hand side everything that's happened to Tracy. And if you look at the bottom here, do you see how we only have one item? All we did was put demographics in. At the top is all that information, the Blue Cross, the Blue Shield, the demographics, the emergency contact. So the top half of the bar up here that I am highlighting, that's all that stuff that I put into Medix Premier. That's where it's coming from. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, everything we do moving forward for the next 20 minutes, we're going to do some consents, we're going to do a progress note, we're going to do a group note, we're going to add a medication. It's the timeline over here on the right-hand side, you're just going to continue to see encounters, and anything that we did on this client is just going to keep building over here in the timeline. So everything that happens with the patient is available in a quick view in this thing that we have over here called a timeline to help you quickly be able to access a client's chart and see the last note that was done, to see what medications they're on, what did we prescribe, when they need their next med, all that stuff is going to fill up in this timeline. So this is like a really important screen, but I'm going to show you how to easily use it. So we have a client, Tracy Woods, okay? Do you generally work with clients in residential, or is it more lower levels of care, or do you do all levels of care? Like, can I start Tracy in the bed board? Is that something you would do?
Yes, I work at Phoenix Hall, so residential.
Awesome. So that's a perfect thing to do. So let's say, after all that stuff I showed you, let's say you come in the morning, you don't fill out the patient demographics, you don't have to check the eligibility, and you don't do the insurance. All you have to do is get Tracy from the registration system into the EMR. And we're going to do that by placing the client into a program in the bed board. So how do I navigate the system? If you remember, when you log in the morning, just open up your left-hand navigation bar. There's two little arrows at the top that allow you to expand the left and the right navigation bar. So this is your whole EMR system, and it has all the same functions that your current EMR system has in it. So you have two navigation bars, left and right. The right navigation bar, you're rarely ever going to use, if ever. Most of these things, you'll never click on the right side. 95% of your day will just be using the system like you do today from the left-hand navigation bar. So let's go ahead and scroll to the bottom and open the bed board. When you open the bed board, it's going to show you each location like you see today. There is two views to the bed board. This is what we call our grid view. We also have, if you click the top little Excel-looking icon, it'll change you to the graphical view, which I think a lot of your staff uses. I don't know if everybody uses it. Doesn't matter. Both of them are both the same, whichever one you use, okay? I'm just, for purposes of going through the training, I'm just going to stay on the grid view. They both work the same way. And all I want to do is find an available bed to put Tracy. Now, you said that you work at, what was it, Phoenix Hall?
Yes, at Phoenix Hall.
Okay. So I could select Phoenix Hall, so I only want to see beds at Phoenix Hall. And you could say, show me all beds or available beds. I know Phoenix Hall doesn't have any open beds just from all the trainings I've done. So I'm just going to say, let's look at all locations and find anything available. So I have 7 beds available, and I want to put Tracy in one of them. So I'm going to, instead of Phoenix Hall, I'm going to use Phoenix West, just because I have a bed there. I'm going to click on it, select bed details, which allows me to place a client in a bed. The only thing you need to do in this screen is select a patient, pick a program, and pick a level of care. Those are the only 3 requirements in the application, okay?
So I will do the IC thing.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I said, so I won't have to do the ICD codes or like the
So you're going to do whatever you do today in your current version, you're going to fill this out with all those same things. What I was mentioning was the only thing that the system requires you to put in before it won't, until it'll let you save the patient in the bed, is it won't let you leave this screen unless you pick a patient, pick a program, and pick a level of care. Now, if you do ICD, okay, right here is your ICD and CPT code. You're just going to hit the plus sign and add your ICD there, okay, just like you do today. It's the same pick list. So you're just going to attach the ICD code that you generally would use using this button right here that says ICD. Can you see that? Are you able to see that, Tracy?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to just say search name. Let's look for a patient that we want to put in. So I'm going to do TR for Tracy. There's one patient with TR Woods as their name. So we're going to pick Tracy Woods, just select her, and hit Add Patient. So I've done the first step. I've attached Tracy. Now what I need to do is select which program. So we're going to say residential. Now, as I said, the ones that are required are patient name, patient program, and level of care. Okay, so you have to have these 3 boxes filled out. So we're going to say it's a high intensity level of care. And then if I want to put the ICD code in, I don't know if your super bill's here or not. Yep. So I'll add the diagnosis codes that I have, add the list. Let me put the date in for today and save. Okay. Can you see what I did there, how I picked up the ICD codes?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So once we have that saved, now what we can do is we can move on and finish assigning the client. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hit the save button. And Tracy is in a bed. So now if I just go to all beds and go all locations, it's just going to refresh my screen here so I can see everything. And from here, I can pick any client that I want. So this is all the test things that we're currently using. So once Tracy is in a bed, okay, here's Tracy Woods. I could filter from the top up here and just show me a location, but I'm just showing you this is every client for every location in a bed. Once you have a client in a bed and you highlight their name, you can now go in and start to do clinical notes and consent forms. So from the bed board, if I wanted to open up Tracy's chart to do consents, I'd come to the bottom where all my blue buttons are and select what do I want to do. Do I want to dispense a med? Do I want to add notes? Do I want to change her programs, maybe drop her from residential to PHP and discharge her from the bed? Do I need to discharge the patient? Do I just want to move them to another bed? So all the functions that you have in your current bed board, all the same functions that you have now, and all the buttons are still named the same thing. So all the buttons, we didn't change from version 7, so anybody who uses version 7, all the blue buttons are named the same thing. Okay? So once you select a client, this is a new client, so I'm going to hit Add Notes because I want to go into their chart. When you select Add Notes, it takes you into the client chart. But we didn't tell it what note we want to do or what type of encounter, so it just basically opened the chart and it's asking you, what do you want to do next? So the way the cloud application works is when you go into a chart, you'll see the All button already orange. The All button is all the encounters for residential that you can select to do a note for this client. So your progress notes are here. Your group notes are here, biopsychosocials, consents, suicide risk assessments. They're all in the patient's chart. Generally, we would start with consent forms. So I'm just going to pick the consent letter tab, and we've reloaded and organized all of your tabs the same way that you have them today. So I'm going to go to my residential tab, and I can see all of my consents loading at the bottom. And just tell me that you can see that.
I can see that.
Okay. Now, what you'll notice is it's hard to see the consent at the bottom because there's a lot of stuff happening on the screen up here, okay? So we have something called the 1-2 arrow. It's the best way to remember it. I don't know why. But at the top of the screen is an arrow all the way at the top. And what that does is it collapses all of your encounters that you're not using. The timeline, if you hit the 2 arrows, collapses the timeline. So you get used to using these because you'll want to open this stuff all the time, and you might want to access a different encounter, but you also have the ability to minimize or maximize screen real estate on your screen. Okay, so just so you know those things, it's helpful to know. So here I am with my first consent, go through it, client signs. whoever's doing it will automatically sign the clinician's name based on their login, so their signature will auto-populate. What happens is when you're in here, you're just going to go through and click each one. Let me keep this open here. I'm going to stick with residential. And we'll open, review, sign, save. So all you need to do is hit the save button. Open, review, answer, sign, save. Okay? When you do your consents, the consents will sit here in this folder, but this isn't where you find them later on. This is where the timeline starts to come in, okay? And I'm just going to show you quickly, and I'll come back to all of this. So in the timeline, there's a whole bunch of really important buttons in here, and one of them, the third one in your database from the right-hand side, is the release and correspondence. So anything I signed is sitting here. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
All right, just so you know where they are. When I'm done with the consents, maybe I want to do a suicide risk assessment. So I'm just going to pick a different encounter. I'm going to hit my plus sign. All encounters, you just hit the plus sign. Oh, wait, we're doing Phoenix, I think. Phoenix Hall for this client. Any client that, or any encounter that you want to do, you just select it, hit your plus sign, and select open. So here's the Columbia Suicide Risk Assessment. Here's your visit type details and the actions taken. These are all the same that are in your current version. The top of every encounter has your visit type and your actions taken. I know you guys use that a lot. Every encounter will open so you can document that. When you're done doing any encounter, doesn't matter if it's a group note, progress note, anything, when you're done with the encounter, you just hit the save button. If you need to sign it, click the big orange button in the middle that just says sign, and what it'll do is it'll pop open your signature box, hit OK, it's now a signed document. You don't have to remember all this. I'm going to take you back through this 2 more times yet. So what we've done is we have done a new registration on a client. We went into the bed board, found an available bed, found Tracy, attached her to it, put in her ICD code, put in the level of care in the program, went into her chart, found the consent folder, had her sign all the consents, and your bed board, your dispensing, your group notes, your active clients, your master patient search, your My Encounters, and My Documents. So this is where we started the meeting. Anytime as a new user you're not sure where to go or how to get to something, always go home first and just start over, okay? But now what I want to do is this is where the patient programs becomes helpful. Let's say I need to do 5 progress notes today. Well, where do I go and find the client to do the progress note? I could go to the bed board, find the client, highlight their name, and hit open notes and go to progress notes and do a progress note. But I also can go to patient programs, and this is a new feature. So patient programs, I don't know why it's asking me to convert everything to French, but let's not do that. Patient program is every program you have at your facility, detox, Dikoski, IOP, MAT, outpatient, and there's more here, so we can keep going across, and it shows you a certain amount per page. I think it's 100. And you can keep going through and seeing all your clients, okay? What I would like to do is say, let's just find everybody in, I don't remember which, if it's going to show for, we put them in residential, I believe, for Tracy, yep. So if I just search residential for the program, do you see Tracy Woods is now active with a green button, which means she's a current client in our facility, and she's attached to the residential program? Can you see that?
Yes.
So now when I come in the morning, I can come right to my active patient board, which we call patient programs. I can find a client and I can review what's been done up to this point, or just like we showed in bedboard, I can jump right into our chart and start to do work directly from here. So this is really nice because it gives you the review capability, then make a decision, do I want to do work on our account, or do I just want to go find somebody else in residential and review their stuff? So I'm going to show you how I see a lot of clients do it. So a recovery navigator or an access center support person, they come in, they find their client that they want, they open it up, and they say, what was done up to date? Well, all we've done is we did a suicide risk assessment. We put them into a residential program. We admitted them into our facility, and we put demographics. Now, this is going backwards chronologically, but these are the 4 things we've done so far. So every time you add a progress note, it adds it right to the top. If I want to see if the consents were done and all are signed, I can click the consent folder, and I can see all their consents. If I want to see if they have a medication, there's a little medication log button. It's a little plus sign with a briefcase. I can see if the client has any current medications on file. Okay? They don't have anything that they brought in that I attached for dispensing because we haven't done that yet. If I want to go in and do work, let's say I need to do a progress note or a medical encounter or a biopsychosocial. If you want to go into their chart, just click the little link underneath, okay? And that's the one, it'll say the name of the program. So you click residential, it'll take you into their chart. I'm going to show you again how to do consents, how to find a biopsychosocial. It's the same way as entering as you did through the bedboard, but a lot of our clients have really started to really use the patient program, so I spend a lot of time in that now in training. So now I'm in the client's chart. I'm going to click my All tab. I'm going to go to Consents. I'll select my consent, scroll down, have the client sign, hit Save. Adds it up here in their release and correspondence. Okay? Then I'm going to say I want to do a note. So I'll pick the Columbia Suicide Risk Assessment again. I'll hit the plus sign and hit Save. Now it's going to create a new encounter for me, just a clean note. What I'm going to do is say my visit type, action taken, fill out the form, scroll down, type my responses in, or the client will be doing this depending on the type of assessment. And when we're done, we're going to hit the save sign, which is on the right-hand side. You hit the green button, then the orange button. So we hit the green button first. We hit the orange button second. We sign it. Okay? Now, let's say I go home. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to show you how to find a progress note the same way. The whole key is just how to get in. All your notes are the same, so it doesn't really matter if you're doing a biopsychosocial or a Columbia Suicide Risk Assessment. All your encounters, we kept exactly the same as your current version. So as long as you know how to open them, filling them out is identical to how you do it today because they're all the same, okay? So I'm going to do it one more time. This time I'm going to log out. I come in the morning. First thing you always have to do is you have to hit your yellow plus sign or the yellow login sign. Do not bookmark this blue page because you think it'll be quicker. You just want where you put in your username and password. If you bookmark this page and skip the previous page where you hit the yellow button, the system's going to tell you no practice code found. You are not able to log in. That doesn't mean that your username and login doesn't work. It means you cheated the system and tried to jump ahead too fast. If you ever get username and password doesn't work, no practice code found, all you do is close that session out, double click on your little link to log in, make sure you hit this big yellow bar, click here to log in, and you won't get any error from logging in. So then you'll just use your current username and login. You don't have to do this second part. And we're going to sign in. Okay? So I come in the morning and I got to do a progress note on 2 clients and I have to put someone in a bed. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on clients that are active clients. So what I'm going to do is, since I'm working on active clients, I start patient programs. Let's say I need to do a progress note for Tracy. Okay, she's been here a couple days. She's going to groups. All is good. What we're going to do is we're going to go and search at the top, Tracy Woods, because I don't feel like searching the program and all of that. Tracy's here. I'm going to click on her face. I'm going to see what the team did yesterday. 2 people did a Columbia Suicide Risk Assessment because I showed you how to do it twice. We put her into a program. She was admitted, and we put demographics into the system. We check. She does have her consent form. I can review them. I can print them, whatever I want to do. But basically, I know what happened with this client up to this exact point in time. If I want to go in and do a progress note, I need to go into her chart. So I'm going to click the little link under her silhouette, and now I'll be in her chart. Now, what the chart is saying, we don't know where you want to go, so you have to pick what type of work you want to do. So you can select the All tab if we're going to do a progress note, and you can kind of comb through all your encounters to find whichever counter you want. They're all here. But we also have them organized so like everything that happens within the first 24 hours is in the admission tab. All your progress notes are in the progress note. The nice thing about this is when you click on progress note, you only have 4 choices. Instead of trying to find progress note in your 25 choices here, if I know I'm doing a progress note, just go to the shortcut and it'll just give you progress notes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So again, just like the Columbia Suicide Risk Assessment, all you have to do is pick what type of note do I want to do and then hit the plus sign to open a new one. So we're going to do, I'm just going to select Adapt Note Data Assessment and Plan. Doesn't matter which one you pick. I know you guys use the treatment progress note too, so I'll select one. I'm going to hit my plus sign. You have to make sure that all of these fields with the star have something in them. The first time you open a client's chart, it'll ask you to confirm the location. Just the first time you ever open this client's chart, and then forever it'll keep track of it. But the first time you have to make sure the location field is filled out. And you hit save. All that screen is doing is it's saying, is this you? Is this the time you're doing the note? And is the client at this location? Please confirm. And then once you hit save, it opens up the clinical note. So then what we'll do is we'll say what type of session was it. It's an individual session. We'll say the visit type is an admission. The action taken is outreach services, the goals, objectives, mental status exam. You can scroll straight down through, safety assessment, treatment compliance, overall health, okay? Now here in allergies and meds, I'm going to come back to this in a second. I think you guys probably attach allergies and meds. I'm going to save this note just so you know how to complete it before I do these last 2 sections, and then I'm going to come back to them. But when I'm done with the encounter, I hit the save button, and I hit the unsigned button, the orange button, and that will allow me to take an unsigned encounter and attach my signature and sign it. So up until this point, you understand in patient programs how you use it as a review tool and then decide if you want to do work, open it up and go to your progress notes, your consents, your screenings. Do you understand fundamentally how to get into the chart and how to open an encounter?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, within each encounter, okay, there's 2 types of sections, and this is a little technical. I don't like to really talk about it and get into it too much because it can be a little confusing, but it's really important to know. So this section here where it says treatment progress note, do you see how it's just a list of questions with a bunch of check boxes and free type? There's no databases. Like you can't pull an ICD code link in here. There's no like treatment plan built in. So there's nothing else you can pull in. It's just a static Word document that you're answering a bunch of questions, okay? So this is what we call a static section. It doesn't move, it doesn't change, it doesn't pop up in a separate window. It's basically a Word document, which is a section of this encounter that you just go in, you answer the questions. There's nothing else you can do. You can type into a section or you can use checkboxes. It's all you can do, okay? Now, the diagnosis section down below and allergies and medications in the cloud system are utilized a little bit different. These are called dynamic sections of an encounter. And what it means is when you go to diagnosis, you could type in, just like you did above, F11.19, I don't know, whatever. You could type in a diagnosis. But dynamic sections, when you highlight them, do you see a little blue pen that pops up? Can you see that? Okay, that means there's a database behind here, and we can't fit it all onto the screen. So to make it easier to work, if you click the blue pen, it'll open up your ICD book, your CPT book, your standing orders, your medications. All that stuff will pop up so you can select what you want to add in under diagnosis. So when I open this up, a dynamic template basically opens a window that's smaller than where you were working. So anytime you click a blue pen, it means there's a database for you to fill the section out. Click the blue pen, and then it'll allow you to add a whole bunch of stuff in, okay? So I'm just going to go to my ICD codes, pick the first one, which is your little super bill. It's the white little notepad. I'll add the diagnosis code and hit add to list. Then I'm going to go into, let's just say, for example, standing orders or something. I don't know if you do that, but I'll click a standing order. I'll select it. I'm going to say, please move all of them over and add to list. The most important thing in this dynamic section that I can't stress enough is when you're done in a window that popped up like this, always make sure you execute it at the bottom right. And by execute, I mean save, transfer, execute, convert, whatever the button tells you to do, always make sure you transfer it to the note. Otherwise, it's going to sit here, and when you go to sign the encounter, it's not going to include this in the encounter because you picked the diagnosis, you added the standing order, but you didn't tell the system, add it to this encounter. So at the bottom, there's always a little button that'll say execute, save, or transfer. Whatever one it says in any of the windows, always select that. Now it moves it into the encounter. Are you with me on that? That's the only really confusing part that I see people forget. They forget to transfer what's in the dynamic template into the notes. Do you have any questions about that?
Nope.
Okay.
Not at this time.
Now, yeah. Yep. So if you look, here's everything in that dynamic section that I copied into the note. Okay, so here's everything. It's in the note. I can see it. The allergies and medications, no matter which encounter you open, because a lot of clients have allergies and meds in multiple encounters, allergies and medications and diagnosis are always dynamic sections, which means we have a database behind it. So same thing, when you get to allergies and meds, just remember the new thing is click the blue pen so you can add in current meds and current allergies, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click add current med. Let's say the client's on lovastatin, 10 milligrams, one time a day, and hit save. Let's say they have an allergy. I'm going to click the green plus sign, and they have an allergy to hay fever, and we'll say it's current and it's severe. And then I'm going to transfer. So you'll see, because it's a dynamic window that opened up on top of your clinical note, this is dynamic, so I have to hit transfer to make it go into the note. Now I have current meds, I have standing orders, I have diagnosis, I have my progress note done, and I've added, which is important for you guys, your visit types and your actions. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay. The last thing I'm going to show you for today is how do I get the standing orders and how do I get the current medications on the timing so the nurses know when to dispense it on the dispensing board. So I've added them all to the client's chart, but I haven't said the lovastatin needs to be given at 9 o'clock with breakfast, and the standing orders are all PRNs. How do I get all that to the dispensing board? So once you complete your note, if you do this, you would go to your medication log that we talked about earlier in the timeline, and what it'll do is all those medications that you attach to the note are now linked in the patient's chart, okay? So let me do this one more time. So all those are there. Let me hit the save button. Perfect. Okay. The lovastatin is here. This is the one that we put in as a current. So what I'm going to do is select the lovastatin. I'm going to select the set timings, and I'm going to set it up when the client needs it. So they need it at 8 a.m. every day, starting today for the next 30 days. Save. Now this all is all set, and the nurses know when the client needs the medication. Okay? So I'm going to hit close. Next, I want to default the standing order so it goes to the dispensing board. So what I'm going to do is hit the standing order button, and what I want to do is I want to execute this so this goes to the dispensing board. So they're all listed, and I'm going to hit execute. And now all the PRNs that are already set up, just like you do in version 7, are now also all defaulted in the dispensing board. So just to kind of wrap all this up, let me show you what we've done. And remember, it's a dynamic template, so hit transfer. I'm going to go home now. I'm going to open up my left-hand navigation bar. I come in the morning and I go to patient programs. I want to find Tracy Woods and see what's been done on Tracy. Okay, here's Tracy. If I click on her silhouette, the black part, I can see we did a progress note, a Columbia suicide risk assessment. She's been admitted. She's in a bed. I can see her consent forms. If I click the medication log, I can see what meds we've attached to her. So she's on 8 PRN meds and the lovastatin. And then the last part is, if I open up my left-hand navigation bar and go to my dispensing board, because now I want to give Tracy these meds, I'll see this is my dispensing board for the day. You'll see Tracy's down here at the bottom. I'll click her name. She has a lovastatin at 8 o'clock and all of the other medications set up as PRN. So that's the general workflow. I'm going to stop there. We're at 11 o'clock. Did I give you enough to think about to get ready to practice on your own?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I figured I did.
I think the only thing I'm wondering about, like right now, when we do group notes, say for spirituality, and we can select all the clients and then copy and paste our template for our note. Are we able to do that with this program, or do we have to do individual client a separate note?
Nope. It's all group managed. So let me show you that. Hold on one second. I have another meeting at 11. I'm just telling them I'm going to be late.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I mean, this is something we can do when we get ready to do more of that one-on-one training or whatever.
No. No, my only job is to make sure you at least know how to do everything. Your real questions won't come until you practice it, but I want to make sure, I want to feel at least that I've showed you everything that you asked me, so I'm going to stay a couple extra minutes and make sure I show this to you. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start over. So I'm going to click on your link. I come in the morning. I have a group at 8 o'clock. Okay. So I'm going to go Henry MC at 1, 2. I can't tell you what the password is. You don't have to do this second layer authentication. You'll just put your user credentials in. So now I come in the morning, and what I want to do is I have a group session at, let's say 9 o'clock, or what time is it? It's 11 o'clock. Let's say I have a group session at 11:30. So I want to get started. So I always open up my left-hand navigation bar first. I'm going to scroll down. I could go to patient programs, find a client, see what was done with them, go into their chart and do work, but that's not what I'm going to start with today. What I'm going to start with today is my group notes, okay? So the way the group notes work is when you log in, it's a roster of all your clients and a roster of all your groups. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a group where I know I have some test clients I can use. So it's an AA2 meeting. I'm doing the group therapy program, or the session takes place today, 9/18, and it's a 11 a.m. group. So I'm going to keep it at 11 a.m. So what you do is you fill out the top navigation bar, okay? Pick your group, pick your date of the group, and pick what time the group is happening, and hit add. When you hit the add button, okay, it creates a new roster to allow you to take roll call. So now you can go through and say, Chrissy's here, test patient is here, and you're just going to check these little buttons to check them in, okay?
Okay.
And when you check them in, everybody that you checked in that's here is going to get an encounter, a completed encounter. If they're supposed to be here, but they're not, then you double click them. So this guy is supposed to be here. So I was going to check him in, but he's actually not here. So I'm going to turn it to an X, which means he's supposed to be here, but he's not. And the reason we do that is because it will attach an encounter to him, but it'll allow you to do no-show as the action taken, which is what I think you do in your group notes. So
Right.
one checkbox means he's here. Two checkbox, or the X means he's supposed to be here and he's not, but it'll create an unsigned encounter so you can go in and put the action in as no-show. So far, so good?
Yeah.
Okay. Once you navigate the top of the screen and you take roll call for today's session, these are all the previous ones we've done, okay? You go to the bottom of the screen, and just like you worked left to right at the top, work left to right at the bottom. And basically, we're going to start on the left-hand side and just work across to answer all the buttons on the bottom. The good thing is you only really need to answer two, and that is saving the attendance, because I just got done taking roll call, save attendance, and then start new notes. So now it's going to open my group note, okay? When I do the group note, here's all the patients that should be getting a group note today that are here. And now I can open up my group note by selecting the eye icon next to any patient. So the logic is open any one patient, doesn't matter which one you start with, and we're going to complete her note or his note, and then it's going to take all the stuff from that note that's supposed to go to everybody else, and it's going to populate everybody else's note. So that's the logic behind it. So let me show you how it works. I'm going to start with Chrissy, only because she's on top, and I'm going to say, I know the group title, start time, end time, CPT code, staff interventions, and summary of the group topic. Those things generally go to everybody. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select each of those to say, go ahead and attach these items to everybody else's encounter. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and type in the summary because that goes to everybody. Group worked on healthy eating skills and how to engage in mindful discussions with others. Okay? So this is where, there's my mouse, this is where the summary of the group topic goes. Here's my staff interventions. You can select from the pick list, or you can free type, or both, any comments you want to put in. Everything else that is not checked is going to be individualized. So what was their response? They were interested and they listened. Yes, they participated. Their behavior was attentive. They were active in the group. Their affect was euphoric. The patient's appearance was pretty clean. And then what we'll do is hit add. What it's done is the system has taken all the other patients in the group and it's added all those criteria to everybody else's notes. Start time, end time, CPT, staff interventions, summary of the group topic, the program. Everything has been added to everybody else's notes. So Chrissy is done, and the other 10 members, 50% of their notes are done. So now you just have to individualize the rest of them. So I'll open up the next client and just say he was interested, he participated, he was good, his behavior was somewhat guarded today, and hit add. Then I'll go to Jimmy, say his response was defensive. Go ahead. Sorry, you cut out on me there.
I said you have to do those individually. You can't do a select all, like have the same, like for everyone. Like everyone's clean and neat has participated.
Yeah, you can. That's what the little check boxes are for. So every field has a checkbox. So if I wanted to add in, let's say I forgot to hit select all for the first person, when you open the second person's note, you can come to the, you said neat, right? So let's just take patient appearance neat. I can say normally that's individualized, but I want to send any field can go to everybody. You just have to select the all button and it'll add it to everybody. That's completely up to you. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. When you're done with all the notes, okay, what we're going to do, remember, it's a window, so it's dynamic, so I have to hit the buttons at the bottom. Hit the save button. Okay? Now, need a location. Let's say it's 1010 outpatient, and hit save. When you have, once you hit the save button, it takes all these encounters, saves them, places them in the client's chart. Each person now has one under their progress note tab individually in their encounter, in their chart. Now all I have to do is sign them. So you can select all by clicking the blue button at the top, or you could say select all, but maybe I don't want to sign this guy, okay, because he was not present. This was the guy that we made the X that we have to do the no-show on. So it moves him to the bottom. So we're not going to sign his note because we got to go in and kind of put no-show and things like that in. So what we're going to do is we're going to sign everybody else. Hit bulk sign. It'll assign your signature, and we hit OK. Okay? And then we're just going to hit, let's go ahead and save this, because it's a dynamic template. Now you'll see everybody has a signed note except this test client here. His is unsigned. Why? Because we still need to attach that thing that's really important to you guys, which is the visit type and the action. So if I click the orange little button for the unsigned encounter, it's going to open up his notes. It's going to be the group note, and it's going to give me the ability to put in no-show. So everybody got a sign mode except this guy. We left it unsigned, and you just click the unsigned square. It takes you in. You attach the no-show, and then sign that one. Okay? So I think that covers all fundamental functions, at least for today, till you get started in the system. I'm going to be here to support you guys, even on your go live date, your first week of go live. I'm going to have 1 to 2 hours a day blocked out where you guys can just jump on a go-to meeting. And if you tell me, oh my God, I forgot how to do a group note, if you have a 10 o'clock group, by 1 o'clock, you're going to be on the phone with us and we're going to help you go through it. So either way, don't panic too much. Every day, we're going to have a support person there for you for your first 2 weeks. So even if you didn't take notes or you're not sure you're going to get it, we're going to help you get there.
All right, thanks, Jimmy.
All right, you guys have a good afternoon, and I'll talk to you this afternoon. Oh, you're welcome, Tracy. Have a nice weekend.
You too.
Yep.